Peace world, and welcome to a kitchen version of Foundation Radio. My name is Adam Barnard. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm here with my guest, my friend, as I do call him now, even though he is the loudest person I've ever met in my entire life, Muscle Man Malcolm. How are you, sir? Thank you for stopping by to my humble abode.
I'm doing very well. I woke up, I praised my tribal chief, Soul Sokoa. We the ones, baby. And now I'm here.
We talked about this before we started.
Yeah.
Like we said that we weren't going to start with that. We were going to lead with something else.
Solo Sokoa is my tribal chief, and he should be yours as well.
Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. So I guess I had a question. I know that we've known each other now for just over a year. Tell me about the origins of Muscle Man Malcolm and where that started, because I think I know the story. I know who gave you the name, but I've never really asked you. So I want to know the details on that.
Yeah. So when I was 14 years old, I went to a Philadelphia Comic-Con, Wizard World, if you will. I was 14 years old at the time, 2014. Did I say 14? I was 14. And I met John Cena, my favorite wrestler of all time, the GOAT of professional wrestling. And when I walked up to him, I told him that he's the reason I started working out. I'm a big, strong boy. I'm like a strong thumb. That's how I like to describe myself. I'm a strong thumb. When I told him I started working out and just kind of explained to him very briefly, because I only had like a minute and a half to talk to him. He's like, "Oh, Malcolm, Muscle Man Malcolm," and then that's where the name came from. And now it's really just a moniker. Some people think like because I'm not like some ripped bodybuilder that like I'm lying or something. I'm not. It's just I'm just strong. I'm really strong. So that's my name. Right. Yeah. I also like what's the show? The cartoon character. Oh my God, I'm forgetting it. Adventure Time, I think, has a character named Muscle Man.
Oh, okay.
So that's also like half origin as well, because like I like the TV show. So.
That makes sense. No, I appreciate it. I knew that John had given you the name, but I wasn't sure of the actual specific details on it. Was John your favorite wrestler growing up? Like, tell me more about your fandom with wrestling and how that started, where it kind of evolved from, and how you ended up in this space.
Yeah, so I started watching wrestling when I was 8 years old. The first match I ever saw was leading into Night of Champions 2008. Did I say I was 8 years old? The year matches the age.
Can I also just say how old you make me feel when you bring these dates up?
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. Like 2008, I was 8. 2014, I was 14. It matches up usually. I'm 25 right now. Just turned 25, so in 2025, I'll be 25.
Yeah.
Just letting you know. Just letting you know. So the first match I ever saw was Night of Champions in 2008. Cena and Triple H for the championship, and I just loved how John Cena just looked. He just didn't look like a wrestler because he had jorts on, he had Jordans on, he had the hat, he had the armbands. I thought he was in the military for the longest because of the haircut and the dog tags. Apparently he wasn't. That took at least 5 years for me to figure out that he was not in the military. That's what I used to tell everyone. Did a book report on him. Said he was in the Army. Made it up because I just assumed he was because of the haircut. But yeah, I mean, John Cena's always been my favorite wrestler. One thing that annoys me about my favorite wrestler, John Cena, is that right when I buy his t-shirt, he would come out with another one. I get the orange, the purple. I get the purple, whatever was after that. Like, it was so annoying. Oh, it was the red. WrestleMania 27, 2011. I was 11 then because the year and the match. Yeah. So
Connect the years together.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, John Cena's always been my favorite. I think for everyone that's around my age range, he is our Hulk Hogan. He's our Steve Austin. He's our Bret, our Rock. So that's why he is the greatest professional wrestler in this generation and for many to come.
Now let me ask you a question, because I know this is kind of a controversial match, but I'm much older than you. But the Firefly Funhouse match in the COVID WrestleMania, what were your thoughts on that? Did you get a chance to watch that, and what did you think about it?
Yo, I thought I didn't know what I was watching. I think it took me about 10 minutes of like watching into it to realize, okay, so this isn't a wrestling match. This is a movie about John Cena's life and his failures and how he overcame them and how they developed into the character, into Super Cena that he is today. Like, it was so intricate and every little detail had such purpose that like I rewatch it every like few months and I always see something different. Like it's just so interesting to see how many Easter eggs are within that match. Like if we rewatched it right now, you would probably find something in it. You're like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Like, yo, like Bray Wyatt, who I'm assuming created most of that match because he's that creative. What a genius. I wish he was still with us, but like what an absolute genius of a human being he is.
Now, I want to ask you, as far as, you went to genius, and I know you don't call yourself that, but as far as in this space, I would say you are pretty much at a genius level. I mean, you are, like, your trajectory that you have gone on, and I know it's been a long time process for you, and I want to get a question about the origins of that. When people look at the stats that you have, you're at probably, what, 45, 46,000 subscribers on YouTube now?
We're about 49.5. Wow. Just hit that this morning.
So congratulations. Good for you. But I think people, when they look at that and they see those numbers and they see all the movement and the work that you put into it, I think there's a lot of folks who look at it and say, oh, well, this is so easy. I can, anybody can do that. What makes you so successful as compared to, some of our contemporaries and the people in our space who are looking to grow? Yeah. What do you think is the difference between you and other folks in the space?
I don't think there's a big difference between us. I think it's just the longevity of what I've done. So I started my channel, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Yeah. Like, I started the channel back in 2012, I believe, or 2011, one or the other. For me, I feel like what makes me different is because I have seen so many generations of wrestling creators, like from if you know the throwback, you'll understand. It was like AAB 777, the Boston Brothers, Sean's View Entertainment. I've seen all those guys. Now I'm looking at the Grimm's Toy Shows, the BDEs, who's been around and he's still on top. Like, shout out BDE for sure. Obviously, Fightful's been around forever. Now we're seeing the kind of newer age of guys really blow up. We have Chris Van Vliet's, your Santi Zaps. Even like the smaller creators on like my end that are growing into big creators and have been growing for a while and will be that next big generation soon. Myself, Deontay DDJ, Small Afro, Simply Better AM, like all those kind of guys. And I'm sure I'm missing plenty of people while saying this. Or even someone like Weezy Blonde, who's already blown up. Like, she's doing great stuff as well. I've seen so much that I know that I will become to that level because I know exactly what it takes to get to that level, because I've really watched so many people grow up into that higher space, eventually fall off. Some do, some don't. And that's how I know, like, if I can just keep doing exactly what I'm doing and always changing the content when I need to and doing it at the right times, it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen very soon. So, like, appreciate you if you're on the journey with me, because it's about to blow up real soon, baby.
About to, it already has, sir. Yeah. Now, we could talk about the channel now if you'd like to as well, because I have questions on that. When did you realize, because I think all of us in this space, we have a certain moment where we realize, like, oh, I think I'm good at this, and I really want to continue to do this and grow this. What was the moment for you when you realized that you're like, oh, yeah, I'm really good at this, and I want to do this, and then what was the genesis to start the station from there?
Oh, man. So I didn't really start taking YouTube seriously until I would say COVID, honestly, because like before COVID, I had about, let's say 10, maybe 20K, and the origin of my channel goes from like stop motion animation videos with figures to switching over to like vlogs for a little bit, and then it was like fitness content. So it wasn't even wrestling, and then I had to re-enter back into wrestling and make wrestling content, back into the vlogs, and then kind of just random whatever shenanigans. And then I got into the interviews, because this is about 2020 now. Then I got into the interviews, and that's kind of what's taking me from point A, which wasn't taking me anywhere, to point like B-ish. Like, I'm starting to get there, and I will be there very soon. Yeah, that's pretty much like the origin of what I've done so far. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think you answered the question. Yeah, I'm just curious, like, when you realized that you could do these interviews and you could do these conversations, like, what was your first one that you were like, yeah, I really nailed that?
Oh, okay. So, I do so well on all of them. No, I'm kidding. I think the first one for me that I was like, I think I got this. I think I got something, lightning in a bottle kind of deal. I interviewed Nick Aldis. It was right after, maybe like a month or two after he won the NWA World Championship. This is at Nova Pro Wrestling in Fairfax, Virginia. We did it outside the venue with a brick wall in the background. I had to be, I want to say I was like 19, 18 at the time. I think in that moment, because I knew Nick Aldis was such a big star and would still grow to become a bigger star, already being a former TNA champion, holding the NWA title, seeing the reign that he had with over 1,000 days plus or combined total, whichever one, knowing that all that was going to come up. I think this is actually before All In, so it might have actually been a while into his title reign. So, just seeing everything that he's doing in general with that championship, because it was hot at the moment. NWA was really hot. That's how I knew that I was able to make that connection with the company, make that connection with Nick, that I definitely was in the right state of content for myself. And after that, I mean, luckily I had some interviews under my belt before it, but after that, I was like, this is going to blow up and this is going to do well. So it did.
Now, I as a content creator myself and someone who interviews, I know that I've had really lousy interviews. And I don't want you to mention any names if you have, but was there ever a time, because I know I've had a couple that have never made air and they're just going to sit in the vault forever, but was there ever one that shook you to your core? You were like, maybe I can't do this anymore, or maybe I don't think I can do this as well as I thought I could?
Yeah, I definitely won't say a name. I've had at least like 3 I can think of because I know I've never uploaded them. I'll give a hint, which I don't think really gives too much away. One was a WWE Hall of Famer. The other was a former a former Women's World Champion. And the other was a top independent name. I think he's still in the indies. Yeah, I didn't upload those just because, not because they did bad. I think my questions prompted awkward answers. So I think most of the blame had to be on me personally. One of them, which I'm not gonna say which one, they were just not in it. They just, I could tell they just didn't want to do it. It is what it is. Like, it's fine. But yeah, those will never see the light of day because those are abysmal. Yeah, that was some of my worst work. I like walking away from the interview, asking literally pick up the camera, walking away. I was like, this sucked. This sucks so bad. I was like, I don't even think I want to talk to anyone else the rest of the day now because like that was so trash. And it could have just been me. It could have been them. It could have been both of us. Yeah, it was a rough one.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I've had my own fair share of those. Not as many. One is an independent wrestler, and the other was someone who works in Hollywood. Okay. And we actually ended up redoing that one because it was like the audio was poor. It was a mess. It was a nightmare. But we ended up doing a make good on that, and it actually ended up making the air. But the other one will never ever come out into public, and you're probably lucky. So you're welcome in advance. But I wanted to actually also talk about the fact that, I know that you and I met gentleman Jay Uso yesterday at Fanatics Fest in New York, which you can find the footage of that will be up now on the YouTube page. So hit subscribe here at the bottom, right here. Just hit subscribe. We appreciate you. Thank you. But yeet. But you're kind of like the new Sami Zayn. You're the honorary Us, if you will, in the media space. You have some, I would say, like the definitive interview set with Jacob Fatu. I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there right now who has the level of conversation and content that you have with Jacob. It's almost like literally a definitive biography almost. You're working with Lance Anoa'i, you're working with Zilla Fatu. You really have a good grasp and an in with the bloodline. Tell me how that origin story started and what it's meant to you to become that official, almost like a spokesperson, or if you will, a wise man of the family.
Yo, honestly, those 3 names you just said are some of the nicest people you will ever meet, not just in wrestling, but probably in life. I don't think a lot of people see Jacob outside of just being like this big monster because he portrays himself very well on television. But he is probably one of the nicest human beings, and I think anyone that's ever met him will say the exact same thing. He's probably one of the nicest people you ever meet. Same thing goes for Zilla. Same goes for Lance. The nicest people ever. I've been traveling with Lance for the last 4 months now to all his indie shows and whatnot. We're doing a documentary on him. It drops, I can say this because I know the date now. September 5th is when the documentary drops. It's called The Next One, the Lance Anoa'i story. It tells a story about Lance Anoa'i and what's next for him. But how I got involved with those guys, I met Lance on the indie show. The first ever indie show I ever went to is at PWS in New Jersey, Pro Wrestling Syndicate. I don't think they're around anymore, but he was the first ever wrestler I met on the indie show, and he was the nicest guy. So I always kept in contact with him. He was my first ever interview ever. Oh, really? Yeah, outside of MCW in Joplin, Maryland. Honestly, I feel like I just stayed connected with him and just seeing what he does. And he has made him and his own family very proud of what he's done so far, and definitely will in the future as well. As far as Zilla, when it was announced that he's going to start training, I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, man, I've done these interviews with Jacob and Lance before. Like, I would love to talk to you. And he's a very outgoing person. I'm sure anyone who knows anything about him can say that as well. And honestly, like he's willing to talk about his story. So it's a pleasure for me to just be the guy that they also trust to put out those interviews. They do other interviews, like they've done other ones, but like luckily the ones we've done have just done so well. To me, it really is, I don't even think it's about me at that point. It's really about how great of a family that is, because like you won't find anyone in that family that's anything less than excellent to be around.
Right.
Like anyone I've interviewed in that family and hopefully will interview in the future, always the nicest people ever. I don't even know what the question is, 'cause I'm just bragging about the guys so much.
No, just about effectively being, you know, like the honorary Oos. Like you're the guy that they go to talk to, and I'm just curious about what that means to you.
Oh, I mean, it means a lot. I mean, like for me, how I see wrestling is like I'm just an interviewer. That's all I will and want to be. And I know I will always play a second role in what I want to do, and that's okay. And to me, it's important to share other people's stories, because like I'm so fascinated in how other people get to the point where they are. And especially these guys who have such a lineage in their family with all these crazy, crazy giant names of the industry that they're related to. That's their cousin. Oh yeah, let me just call Joe. I mean, Joe, Roman Reigns. You can just say that casually because that's your cousin. For me, that's like, yo, that's a not real tribal chief because it's Solo Sikoa. But you know, whatever. Point is, like to be someone that is trusted enough to give those kind of interviews is honestly an honor, because those guys could talk to literally anyone they want to, and the fact that they consistently choose or have chosen to talk to me, I mean, I'm just appreciative of them, honestly, because like they have made my career. So thank you, thank you very much, and God bless.
Now, I want to circle back before we talk about your match coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, to tie up this conversation here, but every time I'm with you, it never ceases to amaze me that people stop you and take photographs with you, or they ask for your autograph, or they oh my God, Malcolm, I love your channel. You know, I watched it yesterday while we were in New York. It was unbelievable. I saw multiple people stop and talk to you. And also I see and I hear the cosigns that you get from the professional wrestling world. Like I was with you yesterday when Jay said, hey, I know you, Oos. Yeah. Does that ever stop being weird for you? Does it ever stop being cool for you? Like, what does that make you feel when people co-sign you or stop you and are like, oh my God, Malcolm, like, I love your stuff. Can I get a picture with you?
It is super validating, honestly. So I appreciate when anyone does that. For me, it just feels like it's weird, because I'm like, I just posted a little 30-second clip on Instagram, and now everyone just wants to talk to me about it. I'm like, that's really cool. It's so weird the reach that social media has. You don't realize how many people actually watch your stuff. Not saying I get like millions of views either, but like you don't realize how many people really watch your stuff until someone stops you and says something that you said in the video. Like, oh my gosh, like you actually heard what I said. Oh my gosh. No, it's very humbling and it's very motivating. So please keep stopping me. I will take every picture possible, because it is very motivating, because I want to step up, because I want to make sure that the people that are going out their way to stop me, that recognize me or anything like that, that I'm serving you the best content that I can possibly put out. So it's very humbling. It will never get normal, because that is not a normal thing to happen to anyone, regardless of how famous you are. This is not a normal thing. And it is very humbling, especially as a very introverted, quiet kid, to now just be at these wrestling events, be recognized for just silly Instagram videos where I just say a bunch of random stuff and ask stupid questions. It's super cool. So please keep doing it. I love it.
Now, you will say millions of views. I would be remiss not to mention this. You know, and again, we travel frequently now, I feel like, since we met in SummerSlam last year. But we went to the WrestleMania kickoff event in Vegas earlier this year. And you went viral twice. You went viral once for your antics behind CM Punk during the kickoff show, which, if you look next to him, by the way, I'm standing there, but the gentleman right to my right knocked me out of the way to get in front of next to Malcolm. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Wasn't trying to do anything. But the second one, I'm not bitter. But the second one, you played rock paper scissors with television's Rock the Dwayne Johnson. Yes. And I think the last time I checked, I think it was pushing 6 million views at this point. It's
like that.
Something insane, right? So do you know if Rock has seen that, or if CM Punk has seen your memes behind him?
As far as Rock, I don't know if either of them seen it, honestly. I would love to think that The Rock has seen my face cheat at rock, paper, scissors. I mean, did I say cheat? I play a very fair and even game with no editing involved at all. Hello. Yeah, As far as Punk,
Yeah.
Punk, I don't think he has as well. I would love to do an interview, Mr. Phil, Mr. Punk, Mr. AJ Lee, if we could. 3 minutes, 2 questions, 1 minute, 17 questions, 5 minutes, 102 questions. That's all I need. That's all I need. I'm not asking for a lot, right?
I don't think that's out of bounds.
Yeah,
no,
not out of bounds at all.
I think it's
Yeah,
I think it's sufficient. Like I said, I'm concerned though because I know that I think Punk has an issue with me. Well, I don't know if he does, but I said that I would eat my shoes the day that he returned to wrestling. And I was so sincere about it that I said, I swear to God, Buddha, and run the jewels. And I feel like I can't let Killer Mike and LP down, so I feel like I have to do that. But Phil, like, Mr. Brooks, I'll do it if you want me to do it. Just could we do it on the show?
I will also eat my shoes for an interview. I'll eat the Crocs.
Yeah.
I'll
I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the clip about where we talk about where we can see the AJ Francis match and going into preparing for that, normally at the end of every show that I do with a new guest, I ask a set of rapid fire questions. We actually did that in SummerSlam Weekend in Cleveland. So go ahead and watch them here. You've maintained that entire position, the entire clip. Like
Yeah.
that was like a minute and a half. You just sat there the whole time. That
Yeah.
was kind of impressive.
I did.
So, I mean, your upper arm strength is absolutely marvelous. But I would say what I think is not going to be marvelous is what's going to happen to you this weekend. I know that AJ Francis, Muscleman Malcolm, JobberSlam 4 is in Brooklyn, New York, August 24th. Tell everyone more about your thoughts on the match and your training and where your head is right at this moment.
So I thought if I did a match before the AJ match, that would be a great tune-up to get a victory under my belt. That didn't work out. I lost. But hey, here's my thought process. If you're going to be successful at anything in life, you have to be delusional. And I am so delulu that I think I can get a win over AJ Francis. And I think it's possible. How can a YouTuber with zero to little wrestling experience beat a former NFL lineman in a fight? How can a YouTuber with little to zero wrestling training get into the ring with a former WWE superstar, former TNA world champion, and actually have a shot at winning? How can a YouTuber beat a pro wrestler? That's the story of the match. And how will Malcolm find a way to beat AJ Francis? If I'm answering the question, I have no idea. And that makes me successful because I'm oh so delusional.
I was going to say I don't know about successful, but I think delusional definitely.
Okay.
Well, listen, I'll be there. I know we'll be there to watch the match. AJ Francis, Muscleman Malcolm, JobberSlam 4, Brooklyn, New York. In the notes of the show here, you can pick up your tickets right now. And I also know that friend of the show, Sir Wilkins, is going to be there in the main event in a steel cage match against Darius Carter, which should be very interesting as well. So shout out to Sir Wilkins, and we'll go for
one thing. So like,
yeah.
when it comes to you can let go. So when it comes to this event, right? I understand this is a JobberSlam 4. That makes sense. Why isn't AJ Francis versus Muscleman Malcolm in the main event? I'm just asking because when it comes to the promotional material of this event, we are the main event. This event is AJ Francis and Muscleman Malcolm. Who else has been talking about their matches? No one. And I understand some of the other wrestlers on this card, they're respectable athletes, have been doing other shows. I understand that. But when it comes to the promotional experience, the promotional marketing of this show, what is bigger than AJ Francis versus Muscleman Malcolm? Answer me that in the comments, huh? I don't think anything is, and that's not a shot. I'm just saying, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers.
I think the best answer for this would be to ask Sir Wilkins, maybe if you get a chance to talk to him.
Boop, boop, boop. I'll call him.
Get a little hit him on the ringy dingy there.
That's Zilla thing.
That's
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
hello.
I think that would probably be the best person to ask. But it's not that I don't disagree. I just I don't book shows.
Curious.
So yeah, I want to talk about also too as far as somewhat viral moments here, and especially after the rapid fire questions we just watched as well. The clip that I put up with Omos. He commented on it. He acknowledged us, if you will.
Yeah.
And I want to know your thoughts about that, and how cool it is for Omos to have seen the video.
Well, I am the leader of the Homo sapiens. Omos is our Lord and Savior. If you are going to watch professional wrestling, the WWE, you must watch the Omos. Omos is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. That was a terrible accent. I'm sorry. Honestly, I love Omos. He's my favorite wrestler currently and forever. And yes, he commented. That's great. He is the king of fragrance internet videos. Thank you, Omos. I appreciate you. I will go to church this Sunday.
Now, I know when you're done watching this here, I want you to go over to Muscleman Malcolm's YouTube channel, and you can actually see the interview that he did with Omos at the Royal Rumble during the media event. How dope was that for you to get that opportunity, and what was the response you got from that interview?
Oh my gosh, I begged for that interview. On my hands and knees, begged for that interview. And I got it. Thank you, WWE. Thank you, Omos. Thank you, Omos. And thank you, Omos.
For those who are curious to keep up with all things Muscleman Malcolm outside of this interview, and I want to thank you for being here with me doing this as well. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of your support for the brand and what I do here. Yeet to you, sir. Where can everybody keep up to date with everything you have going on and find your content?
If you want to watch the greatest wrestling interviewer who's ever breathed an ounce of oxygen, Muscleman Malcolm, after you subscribe to Foundation Radio, of course, Foundation Radio.
And it's purple.
It's purple, sipping that perp. Foundation Radio. You can follow me at Malcolm Muscle. You can follow me on YouTube, Muscleman Malcolm. Yeah, guys, just follow me if you can. Great. If you can't, that's okay. If you don't support me and you don't like black people.
God. He's doing it here. He's doing it here now. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, just follow me there if you want to. You don't have to. You don't have to. But that says more about you than me.
My God. Malcolm, Muscleman Malcolm, thank you so much for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Foundation Radio is hosted, recorded, and produced by Adam Barnard. Additional narration and production is provided by the executive voice, Sam Krepps. Our mixing and engineering was done by Carl Pannell. Our intro and outro music is performed by Dumb Ugly. Additional musical accompaniment is performed and produced by Enrichment. Our cover art photography was done by Dylan Ettinger. Follow Adam on Instagram and Twitter, or X or whatever, at This Is Goober, and follow the show on Twitter, again, not calling it X, at FND Radio Pod. Find the entire show archive at foundationradio.net. This has been a Butts Carlton Media production, Butts Carlton, proprietor.
That doesn't work for me, brother. Peace, Carl!